Hey guys, it's T-Bates, and today we are going to play the infamous, for bad reason, Depression Quest. Oh great, so, what? Okay, sorry about that, here we go. Now, for those of you who do not know what this game is, you probably have not been following the Zoe Quinn debacle that has been happening. Well, it's really died down now, but a few weeks ago it was huge over the internet. I'm not even going to get into my own opinion over the whole debate because, honestly, I don't want to piss off people, but I don't agree with really anything that's associated with the whole scandal. So, that said, let's go ahead and begin this. This has gotten terrible reviews, and we're going to have fun playing it. Maybe. Its emotional character is probably mostly indescribable, except as a sort of double bind in which any/all of the alternatives we associate with human agency, sitting or standing, doing or resting, speaking or keeping silent, living or dying, are not just unpleasant, but literally horrible. Depression Quest is a game that deals with living with depression in a very literal way. This game is not meant to be a fun or lighthearted experience. If you are currently suffering from the illness and are easily triggered, please be aware that this game uses blah 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 fuck you. By the way, I actually do suffer from depression. I have bipolar disorder type 2 and also OCD. So I'm kind of interested in seeing how this game depicts depression. From what I've read in reviews, people have been absolutely throwing this thing under the bus, so who knows. It is early on a Monday morning. You were a mid-20s... Wow, I am mid-20s. You were a mid-20s human being. You have a significant other named Alex. No... Whoa. Okay, so Alex, apparently. You met Alex through a mutual friend a few months back. The two of you hit it off pretty well that first night, and after a series of initially awkward dates, you finally become a couple, much to your surprise and excitement. Oh my. Alex is 3 months younger than you are, and is currently a student with a part-time job in broad social circle. She's also got a wide variety of interests. Oh, Alex is a girl. Okay, that works better for me. And oftentimes you worry that you might be too boring for her, but she has been good at trying to reassure you that she's happy with you. Your relationship consists of a lot of nights in watching Netflix when... What? On the nights of watching Netflix, you mean? When you've both got time off work and she doesn't have classes, with the occasional social outing that she tends to have to talk to you into attending. She tries to be understanding when you are in one of your moods, as she puts it, though you are starting to feel like she doesn't understand what it's like for you, and this is a source of tension in your relationship. Coupled with your reluctance to want to go to college parties, this feeds your worry of not being exciting enough for them. Okay. So, you have a significant other named Alex, who you are rather fond of, that you have been seeing exclusively for the past few months. The rest of your social circle consists of a variety of friends and acquaintances, some of whom you met at your day job, which is a little boring, but pays the rent. You'd like to be doing more with your life, as would your parents, but you're still in the process of figuring out what that means and how to go about it. You are also dealing with motivation issues that sometimes make dealing with these things difficult. You feel like this is probably your fault, and on bad days can feel inwardly angry and down on yourself for being lazy, but you're not quite sure how you can break out of it, or how other people deal with these feelings and seem so very functional. You spend a lot of nights fixating on thinking about this, but never seem to do anything about it other than lose sleep. Okay, to be honest with you, this is pretty accurate, honestly, at least for me. But is so melodramatic. It almost seems to lose its serious tone, I guess. So let's see what this is. Your social circle is made up of a few close friends, some of which you've known from high school, and some from jobs that you've worked. You've also made various acquaintances through reluctantly going to social events with Alex, and you keep in touch with a few friend of friends that you occasionally run into. Good grief. You also have several online friends that you talk to regularly, that's definitely me, that you feel less guarded with, possibly due to communicating from the safety of being behind the keyboard. You enjoy the low commitment of the friendship, since they don't expect very much of you other than to listen and share personal thoughts and experiences. Despite the low commitment, you feel fairly connected with these people, and tend to be more honest with them than the people you interact in real life on a day-to-day basis. You feel incredibly nervous trying to make new friends on your own, and are very good at talking yourself out of going to unfamiliar places or larger social engagements, regardless of how much you may actually want to attend. That's definitely not me. Meeting new people stresses you out to a high degree, and this is something you wish you could work past. You admit you have a bad habit of flaking on social engagements, even with longtime friends, and are puzzled as to why some days you just can't force yourself to go see these people that you really do care about. Those that have stuck around long enough to be that close with you understand that this is a thing you sometimes do, and have seemed to more or less accept it, even though they chide you for it on occasion. However, you've had friends in the past give up trying to maintain a friendship with you because of this trait, taking your social anxieties as a personal slight, or eventually getting tired of trying to track you down all the time. You feel incredibly guilty about this, but are not quite sure how to change. Oh god. Got a little of my liquid in there. You have a day job, which you feel is really nothing special. You started out making minimum wage, but have stayed around long enough to be making enough to support yourself. The work is dull and unrewarding, and most days you feel like just about anyone could do it. You have a hard time relating to most of your coworkers, so you mostly keep to yourself and get the work done while you're there. There are one or two people you chat with, though you want to consider yourself close with them. A lot of days lately, you have a really hard time getting out of bed and forcing yourself to go in. You're starting to wonder how long you can keep this up. You'd really like to find another job in your field of interest, but feel like you are underqualified every time you look at online job postings. Sometimes you think about going back to school, but would you be unsure how you would be able to support yourself, and wonder if the degree would really help anyway? I've been there. Whew. You're one of the few people you know of whose parents never got divorced, but you do wonder if they still love each other sometimes. That's a little close to home, but not enough. What's up the fork in the steak? This has nothing to do with parents. You have an older brother named Malcolm, I'm an only child, so sorry, who has moved across the country with his wife to work a high-paying job. Every major holiday that you see him at, you feel a bit jealous and like the lesser kid, despite being genuinely happy to see him. You feel very ashamed of these feelings. Your parents genuinely care about you. This often involves inviting you back to your childhood home for dinner, though your mother thinks you never quite visit enough. But you get the impression they don't fully understand you. That's every person. They want to see you succeed and don't know why you haven't gone farther in life yet because you're so smart and talented. Yeah, everyone's heard that. Anytime you try to talk to them about your motivation issues, they tell you that the solution is simply to work harder or want it more. Okay. Your father is generally more forgiving of your lack of a career path, while your mother seems to think you're too smart to be in the position you're in. You know they love you, and that they're not bad people, but you really feel like a big disappointment sometimes. great. Off to a good start. Reading text. It's an unreasonably Good God. It's an unreasonably warm Wednesday evening. You spent the past several hours at work. The past week or so, you found your job motivation flagging more so than usual. You've been in a fog practically all day today, simply going through the motions without realizing even what you've been doing half the time. And yet time seemed to be moving at half speed. You're so checked out that when your boss approaches you to tell you that it's dead and you can go home early, it barely registers. As you walk home, the streets hiss from the recent rainfall. You know that your significant other will be in classes until late, another couple hours at least. You briefly consider using this serendipitous solitude to catch up on that project you've been working on haphazardly for the past few months. And this project is... A while back, you and some of your older friends were out at a bar catching up. After liquefying considerably more of your paycheck than was perhaps responsible, and ending up thoroughly in your cups, you open up to the only people you really consider yourself close to, and end up launching into a drunken tirade about the meaninglessness of your utterly menial job, and ultimately of your own existence. Having never really seen you in such a state before, your friends were briefly taken aback by your sudden and uncharacteristic outburst. One of your friends suggested that you get involved with your hobby on a more regular and long-term basis, suggesting that spending your energy on something you actually care about might help you cope better with the shittiness of your 9 to 5. Although you were embarrassed that you let your guard down and you felt self-conscious at seeming to have single-handedly brought the mood down at the table, you convinced yourself on the cab ride home that maybe it would be worth trying out. You began your project some months ago and have miraculously managed to keep at it, though your level of motivation and subsequent effort rises and falls considerably. While you were surprised when you started at how good it felt to actually work on something you were passionate about, lately you found it hard to muster the energy to really care about even this. Fuck it all, I know. As soon as you think about the work that awaits you at home, you can feel the panic creeping in from the back of your brain, unbidden. All you can think about is how incredibly far behind you are, and the amount of work seems nothing less than insurmountable. By the time you arrive home and change out of your uncomfortable work clothes, the stress is weighing down on you like a heavy, wet wool blanket. Your computer seems to be staring you down from your desk. You want to sit down and work, but the mere thought of trying to work sends your stress levels flying. More than anything, you feel suddenly and absolutely exhausted, and feel a strong desire to simply hide in bed. Do you? Oh, and you can't even choose this one. Order some food, grab a drink, and hunker down for a night of work. Reluctantly sit down at your desk and try to make yourself do something. Turn on the TV, telling yourself you just need a quick half hour to unwind from work. Crawl into bed. You're so stressed and overwhelmed you couldn't possibly accomplish anything anyways. Okay, so we are depressed, interaction is exhausting, and I am becoming more and more withdrawn. I'm not currently seeing a therapist. You are not currently taking the medication for depression. You make a stop at your fridge, turn your favorite playlist on, and sit down to start working. You open the last file you were working on, and as soon as your hand touches the keyboard, your mind goes blank. All the motivation and ideas you had when you arrived home vanish in a flash. Your brain seizes up, and you find yourself physically incapable of any sort of productive thought. You take a break to loosen up, popping into your email inbox, Twitter, and various other internet-based distraction fodder. Frustratingly, this pattern continues throughout the course of the evening. As soon as you try and focus on work, your brain diverts all its energy away from the task at hand. Now this I agree with. I am such a bad procrastinator. While you keep flipping back to your work, you find the sheer mental effort involved in keeping your brain focused is overwhelming and tiring. A few Twitter arguments, YouTube videos, and sparse amount of actual work later, your playlist flips back to track 1 and the ice in your glass is all but melted, diluting the last dregs of the Coke no. I do not drink Coke, you son of a bitch. That shit's nasty. Whatever. You look at the clock and realize that a few hours have passed since you sat down to work and you've made negligible progress. I can just wake up early tomorrow and catch up. You think to yourself as you climb into bed, even though you know that never actually happens. This is making me depressed, first off. Second of all, this is not a game. This is reading paragraphs. No, I can't do this. No, I'm sorry. Goodbye.